Chelsea Manning, as you know, is back in jail because she refused to testify against WikiLeaks in a grand jury trial. So she's in jail. She was in jail before, obviously, where she had a lot of difficulties. She had a lot of difficulties because she was often in solitary confinement. She was tortured. It was absolutely awful. And she's a heroic whistleblower. So now we've learned that, again, she's in solitary confinement. And the prison gives a BS answer like, oh, she's a high-profile figure, so that's standard protocol with high-profile figures. But her supporters say absolutely not. She should not be in solitary. So CNN has covered this. Obviously, they have an establishment media take. Chelsea Manning's health threatened by solitary confinement in Virginia jail, her support group says. Representatives for Chelsea Manning, the former Army intelligence analyst behind one of the largest leaks of classified information in U.S. history, are arguing for her removal from solitary confinement, saying it threatens her health and serves to torture. On Saturday, Manning's support committee said that she has been kept in her cell for 22 hours a day, which they say constitutes solitary confinement. Chelsea can't be out of her cell while any other prisoners are out, so she cannot talk to other people or visit the law library, and she has no access to books or reading material. The committee, Chelsea Resists, said in a statement. She has not been outside for 16 days. She is permitted to make phone calls and move about outside her cell between 1 and 3 a.m. Can you imagine? Who is up at 1 to 3 a.m. unless they really, really want to be? And in order to go outside, she has to interrupt her sleep to do it, which leads to more health issues. Later Saturday, Dana Lawhorn, the sheriff of Alexandria, Virginia, where Manning is being held, pushed back on the claims made by her supporters, saying they're not accurate or fair. Our facility does not have solitary confinement, and inmates housed in administrative segregation for safety and security reasons still have access to social visits, books, recreation, and break time outside their cells, Lawhorn said, adding that the federal government has never suggested to us how to treat any inmate, and it is unfair to imply there is a conspiracy of any kind. Manning has been detained for just more than 2 weeks in Alexandria, so this was actually written March 23rd, so as of that time it had been 2 weeks in Alexandria, after a judge found her in contempt of court for refusing to answer questions about her 2010 disclosures to WikiLeaks before a grand jury. Earlier this week, a spokesman for Manning's support committee told CNN she has been receiving her post-operative medical needs and hormones. In October, Manning acknowledged on Twitter that she had undergone gender transition surgery. Manning has had a bacterial infection that was cleared with antibiotics, but is suffering effects from her detention, her committee said in its statement Saturday. More recently, she experienced the shift between the prolonged understimulation of 22-hour lockdown and 45-minute social visits, so jarring that she threw up, the group said. The group argued that keeping Manning under these conditions for over 15 days amounts to torture and said it was possibly in an attempt to coerce her into compliance with the grand jury. Manning was convicted in 2013 for leaking millions of State Department cables and a classified video of a U.S. helicopter firing on civilians and journalists in Iraq in 2007 to WikiLeaks, the online anti-secrecy group. Now, as I said, this has a corporate media take, so the online anti-secrecy group. Yeah, that's the weirdest definition of WikiLeaks I've seen. Manning was sentenced to 35 years in prison, though that sentence was commuted by President Barack Obama in 2017. She served about 7 years in prison until her release in May 2017. Her appearance before the grand jury earlier this month appears to be part of a continued effort by federal prosecutors investigating the founder of WikiLeaks, Julian Assange, who's under his own confinement. Chelsea Manning has gone through so much in effort to keep our country safe and to keep our country on the right path. She's a true hero. And as we'll talk about, she suffered through this 2 times because she's been a whistleblower and a hero. She's now in jail 2 times. Meanwhile, all the corrupt walk free. Trump walks free. everyone surrounding Trump walks free, the rich walk free, the highly connected walk free. That's how it goes. And then we have Chelsea Manning, who doesn't deserve to be in jail at all, and it's absolutely ridiculous that she is in jail. And not only is she in jail, but she's under solitary confinement. Can you imagine sitting by yourself with nothing to read or do for 23 hours and then to only be able to walk around between 1 and 3 a.m.? And obviously it would be a shock to then be taken from your place of solitary confinement, your prison cell, and then have visitors and things like that, because it's such a different environment. It's she should be getting outside more. She should be able to exercise. She should be able to visit the library. She should be able to do a lot of things. I understand the high profile prisoner thing, but there are ways. There are things you can do. This is absolutely not normal, and it's on purpose. They are purposely doing this to her. They are purposely putting her under solitary confinement, and it's despicable. Absolutely despicable. And Truthdig, which is more of a progressive publication, has a different take than CNN, obviously. Chelsea Manning has sacrificed everything twice, by Jacob Sugarman. Few can endure the mental anguish of solitary confinement, or what prisons more insidiously refer to as administrative segregation. Fewer still can endure multiple stretches of ad seg occurring months and years apart. Former United Nations expert Juan Mendez has said that such detention can amount to torture, yet that's precisely what whistleblower Chelsea Manning has braved in her pursuit of transparency and justice. Since returning to prison on March 8th, Manning has spent 22 hours each day in total isolation at William G. Truesdale Adult Detention Center in Alexandria, Virginia, according to the advocacy group Chelsea Resists. Chelsea can't be out of her cell while any other prisoners are out, so she cannot talk to other people. And that's the same quote we've read before. Let's see. This is not the first time Manning has put her physical and psychological health at risk on behalf of the American public. In 2010, the intelligence officer, who then identified as Bradley, was found guilty under the Espionage Act after turning over upward of 750,000 classified or otherwise sensitive government documents to WikiLeaks. These documents revealed, among other atrocities, that it was official U.S. policy to ignore torture in Iraq, and that the majority of inmates at Guantanamo Bay are either innocent or low-level operatives. Manning was sentenced to 35 years in prison, but served just 7.5 after receiving a commutation from Barack Obama shortly before he left office. The trauma had been inflicted. Manning announced her desire to transition from male to female shortly before her sentencing and was repeatedly denied gender-affirming medical care during her time in prison, and this was the time previous. The military eventually acceded to providing her treatment, but continued to hold her in a men's facility. In July 2016, she tried to commit suicide. It would not be her sole attempt. 2 months later, she announced via WikiLeaks that she was undertaking a hunger strike to protest the bullying of prison authorities and the U.S. government. Daniel Ellsberg, who risked a life sentence to leak the Pentagon Papers to the New York Times as an analyst at the RAND Corps, believes that Manning is nothing less than an American hero. Manning knowingly risked her freedom then for truth-telling and actually suffered 7.5 years in prison. I admire her for what she is doing, risking, and enduring now. While this is more about her current incarceration, while the grand jury's target may be officially a secret, anonymous officials confirmed to the Washington Post that the inquiry was related to a secret indictment against WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange, he writes. Press freedom groups have long warned about the ramifications of the U.S. government pursuing charges against Assange for publishing the information that Manning leaked. Regardless of what one thinks of Assange, such a move would be an unprecedented blow to press freedom. No one has ever been prosecuted in the U.S. for publishing classified information, in part because most assume it would be unconstitutional. Even the Obama administration, which essentially normalized the practice of charging whistleblowers under the Espionage Act, balked at prosecuting Assange or WikiLeaks as a bridge too far. Obviously, Trump has threatened to aggressively pursue leakers and is threatening to crack down on journalists as well, which is very concerning. Prior to his order, Manning told Hilton that she will accept whatever you bring upon me. This has meant re-entering prison without knowing when she might be released. So that's referring to her declining to speak to the grand jury, along with weeks on end under dehumanizing conditions. For her remarkable bravery, for her willingness to defy a U.S. government that seems to grow more hostile to whistleblowers with each successive administration, Manning is our truth digger of the month. So it's incredibly important to, again, point out that she's been through this 2 times. And if you are interested, the advocacy group Chelsea Resists could use help. They need more voices, they need more people, they need more protesters, if that's what you believe. And now I'll go into someone who does not believe that Chelsea Manning should have gotten clemency, and it's someone running for president. This is from CBS News, and it's about Mayor Pete Buttigieg. Pete Buttigieg. Okay. Troubled by clemency for Chelsea Manning. Let's close that. South Bend, Indiana Mayor Pete Buttigieg, who launched an exploratory committee in January to run for president in 2020 as a progressive Democrat, is criticizing former Army intelligence analyst Chelsea Manning and former NSA contractor Edward Snowden for disclosing classified information. And this was released on March 11th, this article. Buttigieg left his day job as mayor to serve as lieutenant in the Navy Reserve in Afghanistan in 2014, before returning to office. He said while deployed, he was expected to read intelligence briefs before going on patrol, and is criticizing Manning and Snowden, saying they abused their access to classified information. And let's play a little bit of this.
Thank you for joining me in a very dimly lit room at W Hotel in Austin. Thanks for having me. So I want to talk about you. Obviously, you're 37, you're a Harvard graduate, you are a veteran of Afghanistan, and you're the mayor of South Bend, Indiana, where you live with your husband, and you're running for president. Do you get nervous when you see more and more candidates enter this Democratic race?
No, I think the more people you see launching campaigns or launching exploratory committees as we've done, I think the richer the debate's going to be within the party. We need new leaders.
That's Mayor Pete. We aren't going to wait around to hear him talk about this specific topic. Buttigieg told CBS News Radio on the sidelines of the South by Southwest Festival, where he spoke over the weekend, that he was troubled by former President Obama's decision to commute the 35-year prison sentence for Chelsea Manning days before he left office in 2017. Manning was convicted of disclosing classified government and military documents to WikiLeaks. Manning was arrested in 2010 as Bradley Manning before announcing she was transgender. Manning was ordered to return to jail last Friday after refusing to testify to a grand jury investigating WikiLeaks. Buttigieg also took aim at Snowden's leaks, and it is lame, but didn't say whether he thought Snowden should be returned to the U.S. from Russia, where he is avoiding prosecution. Buttigieg called this an international diplomatic challenge. I certainly agree that we've learned things about abuses and that one way or another that needed to come out, Buttigieg said. But in my view, the way for that to come out is through congressional oversight, not through a breach of classified information. The 37-year-old Harvard graduate and Rhodes Scholar, who married his boyfriend Chasten Glesman last June, also blasted a federal judge's ruling last week allowing the Trump administration to continue restrictions on transgender troops. Anybody who is competent to serve this country and who wants to do so and is willing to put their life on the line should have nothing but the support of their president, of their government, he said. Buttigieg has also been speaking out against the former governor of his home state, Vice President Mike Pence, for what he calls a social extremist ideology, attacking gay rights. I don't think he could possibly be a good president, and I don't think he's benefited our nation as vice president either. So recent polls for Buttigieg among Democratic voters is at less than 1%. That means he's not getting much support, but he is getting a lot of media coverage. And the fact that he doesn't support Chelsea Manning kind of tells us who he is. He's not a person who cares about freedom of information, and information wants to be free. And what Chelsea Manning did showed the egregious atrocities that our military was doing. And without that, they wouldn't have been held to account. And Mayor Pete is saying, oh, just, go have it go through Congress. That takes forever. That's even if they allow you to come forward in the first place. People try to come forward all the time and are shut down. And sometimes the only way is to leak that classified information, to be a whistleblower. That's why we have whistleblowers, because they tried and tried and tried to go the right route. That's talking about, for example, Bill Binney, the renowned whistleblower, who had developed Thin Thread, a program that could have prevented 9/11, but that the NSA shut down before to use their very faulty, what was it called? Whatever program that they ended up using that missed all the information about 9/11. So he saw certain things being done, certain people doing the wrong things in the NSA, and he tried to go through the appropriate channels, but no one would listen to him. So he ended up becoming a whistleblower. And to this day, he still is, and under great threat. He had the FBI break in while he was in the shower, and they pointed guns at him. So Chelsea Manning is thrown in jail because she wouldn't testify for the grand jury against Julian Assange. She's just so brave, and I can't think of many people who would go to the extent that she has. And it's sad that she suffers through such mental health issues and going to jail twice for doing the right thing. This is a good person doing the right thing. It has to be just devastating to her. And now being put under solitary confinement, absolutely devastating. So that's why people are taking action, and Chelsea Resists is a thing. You can do whatever you want with that. You can help out. You can spread the word. The fact of the matter is Chelsea is suffering greatly right now, and we all owe her a debt of gratitude. Alrighty, bye-bye.
Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statuscoup.com, where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statuscoup.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.